What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Around the Table Sports. So with the playoff games happening, you know we've got to break it down. We're going to start off with the Alabama Notre Dame game. But as always, y'all, before we begin, if you're new here, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. I make constant college football content, constant football content, whether it be talks like this or film reviews, you name it, we pretty much will do it all here. And we'd love to have you along for the journey. Y'all, if you're here, go ahead and like the video if you like it. Drop a comment down below to let me know what you thought of the game, because you don't really understand how much likes and comments help with the YouTube algorithm for a small channel like mine. Just before Christmas, we had about 60 subscribers, and now we're 10 away from 400, and I'd really like to make the push to 1,000, so I can't thank y'all enough for all the support, for helping me grow this channel, but let's keep it going. I'd like to keep adding people in because I really like interacting with y'all. So all that being said, let's hop straight into it. So if you watched my video before this game happened, I really didn't see too wide of a path for a Notre Dame victory in this game. Alabama pretty much had them outmatched at every single level, and Notre Dame has a pretty good offensive line. Nothing crazy, but they're very disciplined, right? I mean, they gave up 6 sacks against Clemson. Here they only gave up 2 sacks, but it really didn't matter. I think one of the most interesting quotes heading into this game was Brian Kelly said that they didn't even plan to throw it to Patrick Surtain's side. When you have a player like Patrick Surtain that can nullify one whole half or one whole segment of the field, it makes it so much easier on a defense. Aside from that, you saw guys like Christian Harris really stepping up. I thought Christian Harris looked really good yesterday. And Alabama pretty much had an answer for anything Notre Dame wanted. The receivers for Notre Dame were almost completely taken out of the picture the entire game. Ian Book didn't have a terrible game. He was 27 of 39 for 229 yards, 5.9 yards average, with 1 interception, QBR of 72.4, which goes to kind of show that the corners for Alabama did a phenomenal job taking away the receiving threat. Patrick Surtain did a great job taking away everything. Really, the only yardage gained against Alabama in this game came from tight end production. There were a few plays where the receivers got involved, no doubt, but for the most part, by and large, that was completely nullified. Tight end play and running back play was the only thing that kept Notre Dame even scoring in this game. And Notre Dame does have some good running backs. Now, their offensive line is disciplined, but they're not overly talented, right? Alabama didn't win this game out of the sacks. Here's how, look, when you're playing Alabama, if you can't score at the same pace they can score, you're going to have a really, really hard time beating them. And as good as Notre Dame is, and y'all, this might be kind of a hot take, I might get a little bit of pushback for this, but I think Notre Dame played about as well as they could have played. I mean, watching that game, I really didn't see anything more where I was like, oh, well, Notre Dame dropped the ball super heavy on these things. No, I thought Notre Dame actually had a decently solid game plan. They executed it well. They just weren't going to win this game. There wasn't a path to victory for them in this game, aside from Mac maybe tossing 2 to 3 interceptions, Najee having some fumbles, some special teams mishaps. I mean, Notre Dame would have needed a lot of help in this game to really pull off this upset. So I was actually surprised that Notre Dame was able to keep Alabama to 31 points. Now, we can debate how much of that was Alabama doing gamesmanship and kind of shelving a good majority of the playbook so that Ohio State or Clemson at the time, they didn't know, but now we know it's Ohio State, wouldn't know. My argument to that would be it's kind of hard to have too much shelved. That's not to say I don't think that they're a good bit of plays that haven't been displayed this year for this national championship setting. In fact, if you go to the Crimson Tide News and Rumors page on YouTube, they do phenomenal content. They actually just put out a video talking about how there are some plays that Alabama has shelved just for the national championship. And so, you know, you could make an argument that the Tide let off the gas in order to kind of keep players fresh, keep the playbook kind of ambiguous going into the national championship. But really, there wasn't much more Notre Dame could have done. Look, the big 3 for Alabama are just going out of their mind this year. Najee Harris is one of the most complete running backs to come from the University of Alabama. His blocking has gotten great. His patience when he's running. Now, this might be a bit of a bold claim, but to me, he really reminds me, if you combined Le'Veon and Kamara, To me, he's got some of the shiftiness and slipperiness of Kamara, but that patient burst that Le'Veon has, and the proficiency both of them have, Le'Veon and Kamara, at catching the ball out the backfield, Najee displays that same skill set. Najee can really do anything, man. He'll go through you, he'll go over you, he'll go around you. He is such a complete running back, and you know, I've said it before, I don't know of another player in college football that may have made more money returning to play their senior year than Najee Harris. I mean, he's really solidified his draft stock this year and put together phenomenal film. Now, here's another bit of a hot take. I don't know of another player who was projected to go as high as they were, maybe hurt their stock more than Dylan Moses. Dylan Moses has the freak athleticism that all NFL teams covet at the middle linebacker position. He has that. But Dylan Moses is also consistently a little bit late in coverage. And it's really something that when he was younger, it didn't seem like it was that big of an issue. But this year, man, I mean, every time you look up, you see a tight end running free, and Dylan Moses is about 8 yards behind him, and he has the athleticism and speed to catch up to them, but he's just late on getting to them out the backfield because he's keyed in on the quarterback. Maybe that's a result of freakish athleticism. I think that it's something that he can break out of, but it's going to be very hard when he hasn't broken out of it yet this season. So that right there was about the only thing I thought that Alabama had anything to work on going into the next game. I mean, this team is phenomenal, y'all. This Alabama Crimson Tide team is really special, and just kind of recapping everything we've said here, I think Notre Dame played them about as well as you can, but you have the AP Player of the Year in Devontae Smith, the first wide receiver to win the award, and it's no surprise when he has 3 touchdowns and is just balling out of his mind. Najee Harris had 15 carries for $125, his long being 53. Now, ironically enough, Najee didn't score in this game, and Alabama still won 31-14 without Najee scoring. This Crimson Tide team is incredibly complete, and one of the most interesting things to watch moving forward is the emergence in the later season of Jaleel Billingsley. Y'all, that is incredibly huge to this team. I mean, when you look at the breakdown, Devontae Smith went for $130 with 3 touchdowns, John Mechie 53, but an average of 17.7. And see, I know some people might look at that 53 yards and be a little bit concerned. Don't look at the 53 yards, look at the average. That's showing you that Mechie has all the explosion needed. We just didn't need to get that deep against Notre Dame. That's it for this video. If you enjoyed it, like I said at the beginning, drop a thumbs up. Thank you so much for checking it out. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and comment down below and let me know what you thought of the game. That's it. See ya.